All right. So, everyone, thanks for joining me today. I know things have not been easy for the past few weeks. I think we're about a month into this pandemic now, and I'm hoping that our session today will help bring just a little bit of fresh air as we walk through this journey through mindfulness. So, just a couple of housekeeping items. If you want to go ahead and mute your phones, that would be great. And if you want to interact with me, I would invite you to use the chat function on this application. I believe for you, it would be on the bottom right-hand corner. So feel free to interact anytime and just throw a chat up there and we can communicate. So, all right, get right into it. Okay. So the agenda for today is as we walk through this journey through mindfulness, just start off with some things that we might be experiencing, and looking forward to learning from you what's going on in your lives right now as we're coping through this new normal, as they say. And then we'll get into some quick tips as you and your family are trying to navigate through this new world. Maybe provide some tips for you guys to try out that will help to support all of your physical and mental health. And then we'll move into building your longer term wellness toolkit. I'll introduce some mindfulness practices and then we'll be able to apply them as well. So, and then we'll leave some room for QA. All right. Just a brief introduction of myself. So I am an alum, just like all of you. Graduated with a biology and an MBA degree, moved into a really great career around the Hartford area, working as either an external or internal consultant in a variety of industries, healthcare, financial services, real estate. But more recently was able to pursue my passion, which I'm really excited to share with you today. I became certified as a fitness instructor in a variety of modalities, including personal training, yoga, Pilates, and bar, as well as providing services that um, enable a combination of all the above depending on my client's needs. And I did provide private sessions and group classes in studio and private groups, private club settings, but now we've moved on to the online format. So I invite you also to reach out to me for any private coaching needs from a health and wellness perspective. And then also I have some tips and practices from a meditation standpoint that I could also share with you. So I'm in the Hartford area. I'll give you my contact information at the end of this presentation. Okay, so current events, not really shocking here. So we're experiencing a lot of change. We're working from home. We're trying to homeschool our kids. Sometimes trying to do all of the above. And what I neglected to share was a picture of us washing our hands 100 times a day and disinfecting our doorknobs and door pulls 200 times a day. So lots of changes in our lives today, and has been causing maybe some fear or anxiety. And so we find ourselves at the end trying to decompress, and maybe this looks familiar to you, getting our money's worth out of our Netflix or Amazon Prime subscriptions. And although you are rigorously practicing social distancing, still you find yourself not being able to stay at least 6 feet away from our friends like Ronald McDonald, Colonel Sanders from KFC, as well as Julius Pringles. Yes, Mr. Pringles does have a name. So again, we're experiencing a lot of change in our lives right now. And unfortunately, change in some can bring about some fear and anxiety, which can ultimately um, outcome in a lot of stress in our lives. And this manifests ourselves in a variety of areas. Maybe you can't sleep, or you have trouble staying asleep. Maybe you have changes in your eating patterns. Maybe you have difficulty focusing. Maybe your chronic health problems are worsening, or maybe you're increasing your use of a variety of substances. So my challenge for you today and going forward is that now that life has granted us this gift of more time, since we're not fighting it out in traffic, going back and forth to work, or driving our kids around, this is a great opportunity for you to take a step back and take care of the most important person in your life, and that's you. So, a few tips to help you cope through this new period of time. The first is taking a detox from all of your communications, just really shutting it down, shutting the news down, shutting the TV down, shutting your phone off, shutting your computers down. So, constantly hearing about this pandemic can be upsetting, right? Or, maybe you pick one unbiased news source that you can really trust. I've actually been enjoying BBC recently. Another tip I'll suggest is maybe not looking at your phone right when you wake up or right when you go to sleep. So really just trying to disconnect. The second thing is talking it out. So in our lives, I believe we have at least two teams surrounding us. The first team is your family, so the people that you see day in and day out, family, friends, coworkers. And then the second team are maybe other folks that help support you, other parts of your support system, like your accountant, your lawyer, maybe your priest, your therapist, guru, life coach. So social distancing doesn't have to mean emotional distancing. In fact, your company may offer some free counseling services through your EAP. And or if you're self-employed like I am and don't have an EAP, there are also many resources that are offering discounted rates for counseling services now. The third are enjoy your hobbies, or maybe get into a new hobby. Maybe dust off that 35 millimeter camera and go outside, sunny today, thankfully. Take some pictures of all the daffodils that are growing, or dust off that stamp collection that you've been meaning to update. So what a great time to really explore, or get into some old hobbies, or try out some new hobbies. Next thing is drink a lot of water. I know we keep hearing that, but just a little tip for you. I like to start off my day drinking some warm water with some lemon juice in it. Studies show that it actually helps to increase your metabolism throughout the day. And then eating healthy. And, I don't mean by that enjoying Buddy the Elf's four foods, which are candy, candy cane, candy corn, and syrup. There, you can actually find really good foods they call superfoods, if you can find them in your such as blueberries, which improve your memory, almonds, which help with weight loss, spinach, which helps to boost your immunity. Salmon's also a great one, lots of omega-3s. Broccoli is another superfood. So just try your best and put some good stuff in your body. Okay, sleep. So we have some extra time on our hands, maybe trying to catch up with some sleep. Sleep is a natural immune booster, so getting a good night's rest is one way to protect yourself from this virus as well as other illnesses. Another thing is avoid smoking, alcohol, and drugs. Enough said about that. Exercise. So this is my wheelhouse. Exercise creates endorphins. And now that some of us may be experiencing some stress, we store that fear and anxiety in our physical bodies. So we really need to move to shake it all out. Taking a walk is like the best exercise, I feel. So get out there. Maybe take a walk during your lunch break. Grab the kids. Maybe you know get on your bikes. Enjoy the springtime weather that we've been having. Your work routine. So if you can, maybe try supporting your work and home space, maybe sitting in front of your computer. Maybe commingling meetings with fitness. So maybe if you have a call, you could take it on the road and take that walk. Um, Maybe you can listen to a podcast during your lunchtime. I've been listening to this really, really great podcast. Brene Brown has been um, has been publishing some real time podcasts daily, and they're just so good. So many out there. So yeah, I mean, maybe, taking the extra time that you have during your lunch break and trying out some things for you. So the whole message is scheduling some time for self-care here, right? So I'm a big proponent of scheduling 30-minute meetings with strict agendas. So, there's no reason why you can't take maybe 30 minutes out of your day, and, really help to set aside some time in order to practice some mindful activities, or maybe, get on your Peloton and start exercising. So thinking about our health should really be like thinking about putting money away in our retirement account. So we're giving a new meaning to a health savings account. So you need to feed it, right? Just like as you would feed your 401k, your HSA, you need to feed yourself. You need to feed your health. So here are some examples of wellness activities. The first is daily mantra. So a mantra is a sacred utterance or affirmation. Benefits to saying mantras include freeing your mind of background chatter and calming your nervous system. So if you don't have a mantra, you can borrow one of mine. Some of my favorites are I am peace, I am love, I am enough, or just I am. We'll learn about the most sacred mantra used by yogis a little later in this presentation. The second thing is to be present, be grateful, and be humble. I think a great example of life sources that really exude being present are the pets that you live with. Maybe, your dog is curled up at your feet right now. Dogs are such great symbolizers of being present and of living in the moment. So copy your dog. Breathing. So breathing, of course, has so many benefits: reducing stress, relieving pain, improving your immunity, and even your digestion, and also helps you to be present. We'll be going through some breathing techniques a little later on. Meditation. So again, so many benefits here: boosting your immune system, relieving your anxiety, improving your overall emotional health. I'll be guiding you through a specific type of meditation called a body scan a little later on, which I hope you will join me in. Single tasking. Okay, so studies show that multitasking, we all do it, is totally ineffective. So your brain madly switches from one thing to the next, often losing data in the process. So why not just simplify your throughput to get things done better and quicker by concentrating on one thing? Connecting with nature. So there's some really great walking meditations that you can download on your phone, or maybe take with you along a walk. I took a great walk the other day in the West Hartford Reservoir, and when I found that I stopped to smell the roses, I noticed things that I never noticed before. Like I noticed that they actually labeled trees all throughout the park there, and so now I know the difference between a white and a black oak, which is really cool. So yeah, get out there and connect with nature if you could. Journaling. So, what a great opportunity we have now with our extra time to write your own story during these times. And also, maybe keeping a diary will help you to prioritize your problems, your fears, and your concerns. Coloring. So many online resources that I keep seeing popping up, really intricate coloring books and graphics. that you and your family could color. So coloring actually helps to reduce stress. It helps to improve focus and also helps to improve your motor skills and vision. So lots of benefits there. Practicing Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is like the sister practice to yoga. In Sanskrit, it means life science. And there's a whole methodology behind it, but the bottom line is basically it tells you should eat primarily whole or minimally processed foods and practice mindful eating rituals, which means not talking while you eat, eating the proper quantity of food, and eating only when your previous meal has been digested. So, good tips. Benefits to Ayurveda include weight loss, improving psychosocial health, and improving outcomes for those with a variety of illnesses. So, we'll be going through a variety of mindful practices, including movement, such as yoga. Today, I'll be giving you a little yoga 101 lowdown. But mindful movement can mean anything. It can mean walking. It can mean stretching, stretching in your office chair. I'll guide you through some actual practical applications of stretches you can do right from your chair. So mindfulness means bringing awareness to the present moment through non-judgmental noticing and observing with the goal of being fully present in the current moment. So similar to the other activities that I just shared with you, mindfulness also helps to reduce anxiety, insomnia, pain, overeating, and enhancing mood and emotional regulation ability. Practice long-term mindfulness practices can even alter the neural circuitry or wiring of the brain for the better. So, bottom line is love yourself and schedule some self care. So, as Buddha says, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your own love and affection. All right. So, a few myths about yoga. And feel free to add some of your own myths that maybe I can help to demystify in your chat window. The first big one is, oh, yoga is just about stretching. So it's actually more than that. It's actually part of our world history. It's part of Hindu history and scripture. In Sanskrit, yoga means to yoke, and it's really about uniting your mind and body and spirit. The second myth is yoga is a religion. And I think some people may think about that because of the chanting of mantras and the search for being closer to a higher being or God. Yoga is not a religion, but rather a spiritual discipline. I heard a great quote where prayer is talking to God, but meditation is more about listening to God. So we'll talk about the 8 limbs to achieve enlightenment, which is a part of practicing yoga a little later on in this session. The third is you have to be able to bend yourself into a pretzel. And yes, I will not lie to you, there are some styles of yoga where you see people putting their legs behind their head. Kind of crazy. I cannot do that myself. Um, all sorts of types of yoga, different alternatives and modifications for asanas or poses. I'm going to be walking you through some chair yoga. So it's accessible to everyone. Just as long as you're breath to movement, you're doing yoga. So again, feel free to add some of your other myths about yoga into the chat window. Okay, so a little history of yoga. So the definition of yoga is that it's a group of physical, mental, and spiritual practices which originated in ancient India. The hope was to initiate spiritual growth and development or attain self-realization or enlightenment. Yoga is ratified into 2 major works. The first is the Bhagavad Gita, written about 500, and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which were written a little later on. So The Gita, which in Sanskrit means the Song of the Lord, is written within a series of books called the Vedas. So the Vedas are texts with songs, mantras, and rituals that were used by Hindu priests to teach the sacrifice of the ego through self-knowledge, as well as putting these rituals into action, which they call karma yoga, as well as using what you've learned or wisdom or jnana yoga. And it's really, the Gita is a beautiful story about a crown prince named Arjuna and his conversations with his charioteer named Krishna. And we come to find out that Arjuna actually represents individuals on earth, could be any of us. And Krishna actually represents that higher being or God. So Arjuna is kind of at the crossroads of his life right now. He is really sad and really distressed about having to go into war against his cousins who are threatening to take over land that's rightfully his. And he tells Krishna, I don't want to do it. I don't want to kill my cousins. But Krishna basically says, Arjuna, it's your dharma, it's your duty to go forth into battle and protect your land. And it's your karma to set this into action. And again, it's a really beautiful story. Lots of translations out there. Actually, a really good audiobook I found on Hoopla um, that you can get, either through Kindle or Audible as well. Really, really great story. The second book that talks about yoga is by Patanjali, and it's the first classical and systematic presentation of yoga. It discusses the eight-limbed path of yoga, which in Sanskrit means Ashtanga, which is eight. So there are about 51 sutras or aphorisms that discuss the suppressions or modifications of the mind in order to achieve samadhi or enlightenment. These sutras help to define yoga, obstacles to achieving yoga, the purpose of yoga, as well as the importance of constant practice and detachment of material experiences. So what are these eight limbs of yoga? So we'll start on the left. The first four limbs, so they actually all kind of build up on each other. So the limbs on the left, 1 through 4, help you to gain mastery over your body. And then the four limbs on the right talk about gaining mastery over your mind to achieve a higher state of consciousness. So let's start with the yamas. Yamas are basically ethical standards. They're the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated. And there are 5 yamas. The first is ahimsa, which is nonviolence. The second is satya, always telling your truth. Third is asatya, which is non-stealing. The fourth is brahmacharya, which is continence. And the fifth is aparigraha, which is non-covetousness. Second are niyamas, which are spiritual observances. So 5 in the set of niyamas, which include saucha, which means cleanliness of the mind and the body. The second is samtosa, which is contentment. The third are tapas, which are spiritual austerities. The fourth is savadhyaha, which is the study of sacred scriptures or of oneself. And the final one is Isvara Praninaha, which is surrender to God. The third you might have heard of are asanas, which are postures or poses. The fourth is pranayama, which means breath control. So we'll be going through some asanas as well as techniques to prana, which is breath, or also known as life force, energy, as we go through this presentation. So let's move over to the 4 on the right-hand side. The first is pratyahara. So now we start to gain mastery over our mind, of our senses. Pratyahara means withdrawal of those senses. The next is dharana, which is concentration. 7th is dhyana, which is meditation, which is the uninterrupted flow of concentration. And then the fourth is samadhi, achievement of enlightenment. So you can see how they all build up on each other. All right, so let's get into some practicing of some of these 8 limbs. So breath work. Sri Ravi Shankar says that every emotion is connected with the breath. If you change the breath, change the rhythm, then you can change the emotion. And studies show that just 5 minutes of mindful breathing can diminish distress, blood pressure, and pulse rate. So let's practice some breath techniques. So if you're sitting on a chair, kind of come to the edge of your chair. Um, Imagine that your back is up against an imaginary wall. By sitting up with a straight spine, it'll help you to bring in more oxygen into your body. Let's start by taking 2 cleansing breaths. Let's take a big inhale in and then exhale it all out. Take another breath in and then let it all go. Okay, our first technique is called Ujjayi breath, also known as ocean sounding breath. So we're going to start off with inhaling through your nose, then closing off your mouth, and then exhaling through your nose, noticing your breath sweep across the back of your throat, perhaps making that sound of the ocean as if you were to blow into a big conch shell. So let's try that again. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. One more time. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose. That's Ujjayi breath, ocean sounding breath. Maybe you notice your body and your mind just starting to calm a bit. The second technique is called Durga Pranayama, which is 3-part breath. So I invite you to put one hand on your belly, maybe one hand on your heart. And then take a big breath in, starting up through your belly, filling your belly, and then fill up your rib cage, breath traveling upward, and then inhaling up through your heart space, holding and swallowing at the top. And then exhale through your chest, through your rib cage, and out through your belly. Do that again. Inhale, fill your belly, fill your ribs, fill your heart. Hold and swallow at the top. Exhale through your heart, through your ribs, out through your belly. So that's Durga Pranayama, 3-part breath. The third technique I want to share with you is called square breathing. So you can close your eyes if you want to, or soften your gaze. And then as you take a breath in, imagine you're drawing a square in your mind. So you're inhaling, drawing the top of the square for the count of 2. And then holding your inhalation as you draw the side of the square for 2. Exhaling as you draw the bottom of the square for 2 counts. And then closing out the square as you hold your exhalation for 2 counts. So inhale for 2, hold for 2, exhale for 2, hold for 2. Inhale for 2, hold for 2, exhale for 2, hold for 2. So those are 3 of my favorite breathwork techniques that you can practice at home. The second thing is I promised you that I was going to let you know what the most sacred mantra used by yogis and gurus are. And that mantra is called Om. It's actually the most sacred mantra in Hindu. It's also ratified by the symbol that I showed on the agenda. It's the sound of the universe. And it's OM, that's how it's spelled, OM. But it's actually made up of three symbols that sound like ah, ooh, and So it's more like an aum. You feel the vibration over your lips as you make that final syllable. And those three parts are meant to refer back to the past, present, and future. So let's try chanting this mantra of Om. Aum. So you could practice that Om mantra, or maybe one of your favorite mantras. And then maybe you want to throw some mudras in with your mantras. So mudras are basically hand gestures of the G-rated kind, of course, which promote mindfulness and relieve stress. One of the more popular mudras when we say Om is to put our hands into heart center, which is Anjali Mudra. As we say Om, pressing our hands together at heart center. Other mudras that you might see if you have a Buddha statue or in your bathroom or around your house, you may see Buddha with his thumb and his forefinger together. That represents Gyan Mudra, which is help to bring in more knowledge. Or you might find him resting his right hand over his left hand. That's Dhyana Mudra, which represents enlightenment. This can help increase more profound concentration. So you can practice mudras. There are a lot of other mudras out there. You can find them during online research. So let's get into our first meditation. And I invite you to come to a comfortable seated position. You can bring your back up against your chair. Bring your head over your heart over your hips. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Soften your gaze or flutter your eyes closed. Begin by bringing your attention into your body. You can notice your body seated wherever you're seated, feeling the weight of your body on the chair, on the floor. Take a few deep breaths. As you take a deep breath, bring in more oxygen, enlivening the body. And as you exhale, have a sense of relaxing more deeply. You can notice your feet on the floor. Notice the sensations of your feet touching the floor, the weight, the pressure, the vibration, the heat. You can notice your legs against the chair, pressure, pulsing, heaviness, and lightness. Notice your back against the chair. Bring your attention into your stomach area. If your stomach is tense or tight, let it soften and take a breath. Notice your hands. Are your hands tense or tight? See if you can allow them to soften. Notice your arms. Feel any sensation in your arms. Let your shoulders be soft. Notice your neck and throat. Let them be soft. Relax. Soften your jaw. Let your face and facial muscles be soft. And notice your whole body present. Take one more breath. Be aware of your whole body as best you can. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that was a sampling of a brief body scan meditation that probably only took less than 5 minutes. So lots of guided meditation resources out there, lots of meditation apps like Shine, Calm, Insight Timer, 10% Happier. So hope you enjoyed that guided meditation. Let's go on to some of the technical types of yoga. And these were discussed in the Yoga Sutras. The first is Karma Yoga, which is selflessness and also called the yoga of action. There's Bhakti Yoga. A lot of prayer and chanting, practicing Bhakti Yoga. It's the yoga of love. There's Jnana Yoga, which means wisdom. It's the yoga of self-study. And then there's Raja Yoga, which is a combination of the 3 types of yoga above with the 8 limbs of yoga. So many styles of yoga. These are the more popular ones. You could decide which one is right for you. I'm going to give you a brief description of each of these. Probably the most mainstream type of yoga is Hatha Yoga. And there's different subdivisions of Hatha Yoga. There's Iyengar. So BKS Iyengar is one of the pioneers that brought yoga into the US. He wrote this great book called Light of Yoga, where you'll see some really beautiful writings of his, followed by pictures of probably every yoga pose that you can imagine. So it's one of our Bibles of yoga, if you will. There's Ashtanga Yoga, which goes back to the 8 limbs of yoga. It's a very formally practiced yoga. There's different series. There's the primary series, there's a secondary series, and it keeps going on and on and on. And as you keep practicing, you'll progress through each of the series. There's no music that's played during Ashtanga, and there are 6 series of postures that kind of build up on each other. And then there's vinyasa, which is kind of a style of Ashtanga, but the difference is that it connects poses through transition. So it's more of a flow. Sun salutations, which is also in Ashtanga, is part of Vinyasa Surya Namaskar, and it's really a beautiful practice. It's one of my favorites. What I enjoy teaching the most. There's Yin Yoga, which is getting really popular these days. So Yin Yoga, you mostly practice on your back or sitting on the ground, letting gravity do its work. Um, it's a slow progression of poses, and you're holding poses for about 3 to 4 minutes each, really allowing you to get your body, get deep into the connective tissue, into your body. And again, just really letting gravity do its work. And, it helps with flexibility first and foremost, but it's when you pair it with breath, it's it's a really beautiful, slow moving practice. Um, the next one is gentle or restorative yoga. So it could either be a combination of hatha or yin practices. Um, Many times in restorative yoga, maybe you'll practice it a little later on. At the end of the day, there's actually one type of restorative practice called yoga nidra, which may help you to sleep. Lots of props could be used for restorative yoga, such as bolsters and blankets to help you get comfortable and really relax. Vini yoga is kind of a more customized yoga, lots of breath work in Vini yoga. Bikram yoga, you may have seen the Netflix documentary about Mr. Bikram. Kind of doesn't put Bikram in a positive life, but I have done Bikram in the past, and it's kind of like Ashtanga. It's a very formal process. There's the same set of poses that you go through, but it's performed in a hot setting, so about 106 degrees. 26 yoga is practiced within 90 minutes. Each pose practiced twice. So just another type of yoga. Power yoga, lot a very fun way of practicing a vinyasa type yoga. It was put into place by Beryl Bender Birch, who kind of demystified the practice of Ashtanga and Vinyasa yoga. And she was followed by Baron Baptiste, you may have heard of, and Brian Kest, who have helped power yoga become a little bit more mainstream. Prenatal yoga, so many benefits to prenatal yoga. It really helps you to prepare the birthing canal for birth. It allows you to help with breathing. Um, Lots of exercises helping to prepare that pelvic floor. Of course, there's a lot of modifications associated with prenatal yoga. And as you progress throughout your trimesters, there are recommendations um, on poses that you maybe shouldn't do, especially as you get into the third trimester. But I know a lot of pregnant women who have practiced yoga up until they gave birth. Kundalini yoga, so much fun. Okay, so Kundalini helps to release energy trapped inside. So lots of mantras, lots of meditation. Um, my Kundalini guru covers her head while she's practicing, so that she, can help keep that energy she's building up inside. It's a very interesting and very relaxing form of yoga, and you feel so invigorated after all of it. Anusara yoga is type of yoga where you open your heart. It's a spiritual practice, and Jiva Mukti incorporates a lot of chanting. So lots for you to try out there. Lots of resources online. We're going to practice some chair yoga. So I'm going to, let's see, stop sharing. I bring my chair over. Hopefully you can all see me. I'll push back my chair a little bit. So we're going to start, come to the edge of your chair, your feet firmly planted on the ground. We're going to start with some cat-cows, and you can bring your hands either to the front of the chair or the sides of your chair. So we're going to start with angry cat. So cat pose, as you exhale, you want to round your shoulders, pushing into the chair with your hands, looking down toward your navel. A little spinal flexion here. And then cow pose is inhaling as you stretch your chest forward, rolling your shoulders into your back pocket, maybe just allowing your head to surrender back. So let's do that again. Cat pose, exhaling all of the air out, pressing your hands into the chair, rolling your shoulders forward. And then inhale, bring all that new energy and prana into your body, looking up, sending your chest upward. And then one more time, curling over, angry cat pose or scaredy cat pose, as my niece calls it. And then one more time to inhale, cow pose, allowing your heart to open up. That was cat and cow. Second thing is just a forward fold, or Uttanasana in Sanskrit. So what you're going to do, if your body will allow you to do this, is just to fold over and maybe resting your belly onto your thighs. You can let your arms just hang on either side of you. You can let your head hang heavy and just allow that nice stretch as you protract your shoulder blades. If you want to add on, you can grab opposite elbows with your hands, kind of coming into a ragdoll position. You can sway side to side. And then breathing in through your nose and out through your nose, Ujjayi breath. Let's take one more breath here. And slowly allow your arms to just reach towards the floor as you roll up one vertebrae at a time, coming back to a straight spine. Next, we're going to try Utkatasana, which is also called thunderbolt pose or chair pose, which is so convenient. We're in a chair. Okay, so raise your arms right in front of your ears, trying to get your biceps close to your ears. You're going to hinge from the hips slightly, drawing a straight line from the crown of your head to your tailbone. And maybe you can feel your back muscles, your arm muscles, maybe your thighs as you lean forward start to energize and activate. So that's good. Bring your shoulders into your back pockets. And then we're going to breathe in through our nose again. And out through our nose. Take another big breath in as we try to reach our fingertips even closer to the sky. And then exhale all of your air out. All right, so bring your arms just down by your side. We're going to practice warrior pose next, or Virabhadrasana 2. So we're going to bring one hand in front of us, palms facing down, and then your other hand just towards the back of you. It's okay if it's just a little over to the side of you. Whatever's comfortable for your body. Again, your shoulders are down, really stretching out that chest. Nice heart opener here. Your gaze over your right middle finger. Maybe pretending you're Prince Arjuna, getting ready to go into battle. And let's inhale deeply here through our nose. And then exhale through our nose. One more time, inhaling. And then exhaling everything out. Good work. All right, so let's bring our arms just by our side again. So another pose we're going to do is a twist, just a simple twist. I'm going to show you it on one side. Twists are so good for your digestive system, giving your internal organs a nice massage. So we're going to start by bringing our arms above our head and then twisting to one side, maybe grabbing the outside of your thigh, and then maybe with one hand, and then with your other hand, maybe reaching for the back of your chair. And then inhaling as you maybe twist a little deeper, maybe looking over your back shoulder. And let's take another breath here, reaching up through the crown of your head as you maybe set your gaze toward the back of your room. One more time, big breath in. And then exhaling all of the air out, giving your insides a nice massage, and then slowly unwinding back to the front of your chair. One more pose, pigeon pose. And we're just going to begin by crossing our legs. So bring one of your ankles. I'm bringing my right ankle over my left thigh, almost like we're making a figure four here. And then you can either rest your hands on top of your chair, just to either side. So maybe you're starting to feel your hamstrings start to stretch out, which is good. You can always reduce your range of motion. If this is too much for your hamstrings, just bring your knee up. And then maybe with each breath, you could try to bring your knee even further closer to the ground. You could stay here, or if you want to try an even deeper stretch, you can bend forward just to the point where it feels comfortable. Bending forward and just feeling that even deeper stretch on the back side of your legs. Inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your nose. One more time, big inhale. And exhaling it all out. And then rolling up one vertebrae at a time. And gently you can use your arms to help place your other foot back onto the ground. So those are just a few tips. Chair yoga. If you have a strap, you can also use a strap to help stretch you out. Let's see, I'm going to try to go back to my presentation here. All right. So hopefully you're able to find one or a couple of things to help you fight this quarantine 15. Movement is so good for your body, again, relieving and trying to shake out all of that stress that you may have been accumulating throughout the last few weeks as we're coping through COVID-19. Wanted to get to your questions. Let me reopen my chat window here. Feel free to pop them in to the chat window. And then as we do that, to go through a couple of quotes. I'm also a Pilates instructor, Joseph Pilates. Really great story there. His quote, he had so many quotes, but this is one of my favorites. Change happens through movement, and movement heals. Another quote, more recent from Bill Gates, is whereas many see the coronavirus or COVID-19 as a great disaster, I prefer to see it as a great corrector. It is sent to remind us of the important lessons that we seem to have forgotten, and it is up to us to use if we will learn them or not. So I put my information on the screen, flowwithjasmine@gmail.com, or you can follow me on social media at Flow with Jasmine. I also have a YouTube channel set up with a variety of exercises for you to try. There's some yoga. I even have a kids yoga video out there with my little mini me. I have Pilates, a classical Pilates. Flow. I also have a couple of exercise nuggets, shorter videos, ones with an arm series that you can use light weights with. Another one um, is used to help with posture. All you need is a bare wall. And I also have a bar class. That's a lot of fun. It's a low impact class that targets your whole body. So I'm running um, some significant discounts right now for online or home-based sessions. Invite you or your family or your colleagues if they ever wanted to try any of the modalities that I shared with you today in a safe environment. I'd love to help walk you through that. So I'll just pause here for any questions. I know we're almost running out of time. You meditate while doing yoga. Um, Absolutely. So meditation is being present, right? Which is the whole point of being mindful. So whenever I do yoga, I'm in it, and I'm meditating, and it can mean different things. It could mean, just feeling what your body is doing as you flow from pose to pose to pose. It's maybe being aware of your surroundings, and just being present. So absolutely, absolutely. I feel that yoga, meditation are kind of the same. So I guess when thought of that way, it could be practiced in parallel. I'm not flexible. Um, I'm not flexible either. so yeah, join the club. But I think through practice you'll find that the deep connective tissue in your body will help to relax. And practice makes perfect. That's why they call it a practice. And every day is a practice. Your body is not going to feel the same every day, trust me. But you know with more practice, you'll find that, yeah, you feel like, oh, wow, my hamstrings are starting to feel a little bit more flexible day after day. Oh, wow, my fingertips can reach even closer to the floor. So, I'm not making any promises or guarantees, but, certainly with some tips that I can provide to you, you'll find that your flexibility improves, maybe your balance improves, maybe your posture improves, maybe your coordination improves. I work with a lot of people with injuries. I work with people with diseases. I work with a lot of people that have Parkinson's, which is kind of a growing niche now. And I help them through flexibility, through balance, through posture, coordination, and just every little bit helps. So it's really accessible for everyone. Hey, Huskies, everyone, stay safe. And I invite you to reach out to me if you need any more support. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation and be well.